Welcome everybody back here at our Veil of Sound Meets and Loves Pelagic Records series. Of course, we cannot let the chance slip, and we have to talk to Jakob from Oh Hiroshima about the new record. So, Jakob, thanks for joining the show once again.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. If anybody wonders why we say again, because 1.5 years ago, Jakob was already here on the show for our Christmas special. I think it was December 25th or 26th of 2024 when we last talked.
Yeah,
Um, so back then we were still talking about merchandise, and I thought, okay, people don't need I don't know, the Baroness shirt for the 15th time, or the Ocean, or Ulfa, or whatever. So we changed it in the middle. Nowadays we talk about the plug of the day, and normally I like to stick to a certain sound connection. But this time I thought, okay, I have a chance because one of our dear friends is now on Pelagic as well. So I want to plug Lane Shi Otaioni because she always blows our mind, and I think the performance on Roadburn on Saturday was mind blowing. And therefore, first of all, Lane, when you see this, thanks a lot. Second of all, we should all listen to her new album out on Pelagic. So, Jakob, who would you like to plug?
yeah. I had like couple of seconds here to prepare myself, but I thought about a band and a record called The Fields, actually a British band. They only released one record, but it's actually tremendous, and I don't think it made much of a splash once it came out, and I guess the band broke up soon after. There's not much info to find about them, but they're still out on streaming platforms. So called the Fields. I think the album is called Song of the Fields or Songs of the Fields or something like that. Really cool record. It's kind of indie rock with a folky British vibe, but also there's this atmospheric element to some of their parts and leads, and very catchy tunes. So yeah, that's my
Good.
plug.
Cool. And I remember last time we also talked about the development of post rock, where it came from, where it might be going. And so there are 1.5 years in between. And the question must, of course, be, has there been a post rock slash post metal album that really caught your attention since then? I got one, but I want to give you the chance to go first.
Well, what comes to mind instantly is, of course, the new Neurosis record.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah. The other record in the same realm, post metalish kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I plug, and I have been plugging this band for I don't know how often, but the new record by The Light Below. I think that's a post metal record that everybody should listen to because the combination of Georgian folk choir, female Georgian folk choir, and post metal slash sludge is just simply amazing. So more people should listen to that record. Deserves all the attention it can get. And the record is also called Georgia. So yeah, if you haven't touched it by now, please do so. Jakob, do you know what anniversary is this year?
2026. No, I don't actually. Enlighten me.
According to Discogs, this is your 20-year anniversary as Oh Hiroshima.
Yeah, perhaps. It's a bit fuzzy actually. Like I have a hard time picking a starting point for the band. I don't know. It could be 2006. It could also be 2007.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually remember. At least like the year when the name was coined, and we started kind of messing a bit, me and then Leif, our former guitarist, with some post-rock sounds. Yeah, but that's a bit crazy, of course.
I mean, like, of course, it is crazy to think of being in a band for 20 years, for sure.
Yeah.
But isn't it also amazing how through all that time, the band and the project has meant so much that you never called it quits?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. I think that's like my only talent, to be persistent, perhaps.
I think
It's
there
been
there could be
like
one or
a
more too.
slow, but kind of steady growth, I guess, in listeners and people paying attention through this period. But I would say like the first up to our first record, there wasn't much activity. For me, kind of at the maybe with the release of our first record, and after that we kind of put together for the first time a whole band. That's when things started to feel more like a real thing to me.
By the way, when you talk about band, I think if I understood you correctly, there has not been any kind of lineup change between All Things Shining and the new record, right? So everybody is still in who was there.
Yeah, actually, from before during the writing phase for Myriad. So this, I would say, is the third record where it's just me and my brother writing and recording.
Will
So
also come to all the other people involved because
yeah.
there are many people involved on this record.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys joining us this time around.
But there is something else that I want to talk about, and that is, to me, at least visually, the new record looks like a complete restart. Because I mean, like, there's no denying that image-wise, this is one of the simplest covers that Oh Hiroshima has ever seen. Also, when it comes to the font of the writing, and there are even some sounds on the record. And there is a song who shares the same name as a very, very famous album by a very, very famous Australian songwriter. So for me, this is your Australia record. Can you understand that,
Oh.
or do you say like bullshit?
I have to think about that for a while, but I hear you got your reasons to tell it to
So
call it
yeah,
for
then let me explain
Yeah.
the reasons. I mean, like the title of the record itself, and the dead tree gives no shelter. That sounds like a very clear Aboriginal tale, as if it was told by one of the Aboriginal people from Australia. You have a song that is called Skeleton Key, which is the same name as an album by Nick Cave. And there are even sounds that remind me, with all the trickling down effects that there are not trickling down, but you know what I mean, like the moments where some of the sounds seem to like glitter in little droplets. That made me feel a lot like, okay, the guys have tried to put this in a very specific place. The way you now say it, it's not. But can you follow my line of thought on that one?
Yeah, sure. I can see what you mean with like the aesthetics of the album cover.
Mhm.
You kind of get that feeling of the like Australian dirt, I guess.
Yeah.
But the title is actually it's from a poem by T.S. Eliot, from the Wasteland.
Mhm.
Um, I am, of course, a huge Nick Cave fan, but I didn't snatch it intentionally
Yeah,
off
but
his record. Um, but yeah, I can see what you mean with by that. Yeah, sure.
so then let's talk about this image. The dead tree gives no shelter. Um, One can read this in many, many ways. So the first question must be, is it a kind of comment on our day and age, 2026, 2025, 2026?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, of course, when I write lyrics or think about themes or work with the album title or title for the different tracks, I bring out things that I'm thinking about, processing, and so on. But as a human, I mean, living in this day and age, of course, I share these thoughts and experiences with a lot of different people. So it's all those, things that come out or are also things that affect other people in many ways.
Mm.
But it's I mean, it's a quite long title, a
It
bit
is.
pretentious, but this is my like pretentious outlet in life. So I'm indulging myself. But the thought about behind the title is I really liked the line when I read it in the Wasteland. I'm not like a big. I don't have a lot of knowledge about poetry, but there's some poets that I really like, and T.S. Eliot is one of them that I find. When you read him, there is a lot of striking images, and when you also read about the time and age that he wrote this poem in the after the between the world wars, it's kind of a lot of similar questions and things. I think that affected the like consciousness of the collective back then about the meaning and the loss of meaning and so on. So for
Mm.
me, the title there is kind of this feeling that you have a hard time to you get all this information from all over the world hitting you from all different sides about all the things going wrong in the world with wars and climate change and uh, whatnot. And you kind of get if you're not strong enough, you kind of get worn down,
Yeah.
and you start to feel like things lose their meaning for you, and you can become a bit ambivalent about the whole thing. Things feel pointless. You're also
Mm.
as a like a single citizen in this day and age. There's so little control in what's happening in society, and even the politicians don't really have the means to change things
Yeah.
they'd like because of the like economical system, and it's just these many things that factor in people feeling like they don't really have like a way to do something meaningful, something that will lead to greater good for society and for themselves. So it was kind of that feeling can make you withdraw a bit from trying to do anything that follow your ideals or kind of work for something that you feel will advance society or the lives of the people around you. It's easy to get stuck in that, but the idea is that that's kind of like a dead tree. You will just get sucked down this negative dark spiral, and
Mm.
you have to kind of force yourself to find these ideals, even if you can't really like believe in them. And I thought a lot about uh, like hope. It's a word sometimes that can feel a bit naive.
Yeah.
Um, but I read somewhere it was someone who kind of gave it the definition to hope that you can think about it more in terms of to believe that whatever you do, even if it's not doing any larger effect, or it's still meaningful and it's still something to strive for, to just follow your conscience and try to do whatever you feel is right. So that's kind of, yeah, it becomes. I'm deep down in the rabbit hole now, I feel, but
All
I
good.
hope I made myself a little bit clear, at least.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's also a way that, how should I say, there is a certain dichotomy. If we're talking about the world as this crazy place that it is right now, you've already mentioned, we can either strive to improve it, butterfly effect by butterfly effect, or, and that's also a problem that a lot of people do not want to see it. They want to deny the problem that is behind all of this capitalism and also the ecological downfall that we are facing in a few years and decades. So people try to naively look away and refrain from it. At the same time, that also implies a certain divide in society. Not questioning and not trying to ask where you stand, because that is not the thing that I want to talk about, but is it also a way that, in some kind of form, the new record, also because of its, again, cover artwork, that it tries to build a bridge, tries to bring things together, people together?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, there's something about the directness that I think you can find both in the artwork and in the songs
Yeah.
themselves also. Because we worked with the music and sounds that are very abstract, and lyrics also, and it's of course still on that edge of that side of the spectrum, but yeah, it's kind of a movement in a new direction concerning these things.
When listening to the music on the record, I had the feeling as if, okay, they are really riffing it out a little bit more. It's a little heavier, I think. But at the same time, one always has the feeling, okay, they could go even further. They could go further into post metal. They could go further into, let's say, Russian circles, or God is an astronaut, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
sure.
you put a lot of weight on the guitars, on the riffs, but there is still a little bit room left. There is always that little bit of restraint where I have a feeling as if like they could go further. Was that also important for you, not to take it all the way through, not all pedal to the metal?
I don't think it was a conscious decision in that, but we kind of said that we don't want to go further. But perhaps it has to do with like keeping I mean some kind of limits to how I mean wide your spectrum is with the music you're trying to. It's hard to like connect a really kind of softer songs with a lot of vocals with the full blown out post metal stuff. So perhaps
Because then you would basically have to go into like also more screaming or more guttural vocals, right?
perhaps,
Yeah.
and I just don't think it will like connect that well with some other parts of our
Yeah.
music that I still enjoy and like to keep that I want to be a part of our
Yeah.
music. But when I sit at home, I can sit recording or playing some trying out some ideas on the guitar. Sometimes I come up with these pretty heavy ideas or riffs. It's like, oh, maybe this could be like an Oh Hiroshima thing, but then they never do, because if it's like, no, this is something else. It doesn't really go into what we're doing here. And sometimes I think I restrain myself a bit when it comes to certain crescendos because just to keep kind of the tension. Uh, I think sometimes the tension is more interesting than the like total outburst.
Yeah.
Um, and because you can always do that thing where you like completely throw everything you have at the song and at the end of the song, the climax. But to not do that sometimes, I feel is the better option for the song and for the experience of the song.
Quick question. If you say like, okay, you are working on some stuff and then you notice, okay, this is not an Oh Hiroshima thing. What do you do with those things, with those ideas then?
Yeah, I have like always a couple of other projects in the back of my mind that I'm thinking about. Okay, this fall I'm gonna also do this thing. I'm gonna like I got enough songs to do a project kind of this style or something, but it never happens. So uh, I don't know. I don't have an answer yet.
Okay.
But I got a plenty of songs laying around. So perhaps. I'll manage to myself or with some others do something about it in the future. We'll see.
Interesting. Really interesting. Um, and we've already mentioned, okay, this is definitely heavier than a lot of the other stuff. But at the same time, because it's heavier, of course, the distances between the dynamics, between the quiet elements, the louder elements, is even bigger than before. Um, I'm sure it's not an intentional thing. It's not you sit down and say, okay, let's write something with an even bigger loud versus quiet dynamic. But were you surprised when you noticed, okay, here the gap between both poles of our music is wider than before?
I think it was actually a little bit of a conscious decision
Mm-hmm.
that started with the previous record, All Things Shining as well. Um, it just came out of you're sitting there with you start with writing a part or you have a guitar riff or whatever a chord progression and you start to work okay what comes next after this and in the past it's usually you just keep going and you build like
Mm-hmm.
then you get bigger and bigger but I wanted to start to challenge myself by doing like the opposite, going from something very quiet to something that kind of explodes out of nowhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot more of that on this record. A lot quicker changes between parts, and usually I really like songs that kind of keep the same mood or the same thing going. Can be like the same. Um, the type of drum all through the song, or like you have a riff that goes on through all the song, or you have the same chord progression, and you still keep things interesting. I like a lot of music um, that works in that way. But I was kind of inspired by some like prog rock bands and stuff that I've been listening to during the writing process. That had these more, fast and quick changes between sections because that can be quite hard to write also, but to still make it feel like it's one song that connects.
Keep it
Uh,
cohesive, right?
yeah, to keep it cohesive. So you can definitely hear it on the album.
Can you name one or two of those bands that influenced you in that sense?
Yeah, sure. I listened to about maybe 1.5 year ago or 2.5 years ago, I started to get into Mastodon actually, and that's a band that
Oh, and
yeah
then there all of a sudden is a track which is called Remission on the album. Uh-huh. Yes, of course.
yeah sure, and I always known about them, but
Yeah,
never really listened to them. So I just started out, and I was kind of
yeah,
hooked. I don't know why. It just kind of fit my mood at the time, and
yeah,
I was uh, commuting to another city where I worked, and in like the car on the train, I listened to Mastodon every day for like a month, and just plowed through their whole discography. And I was really like into them, which is kind of because I don't think I'm really into uh, much of the music they're influenced by,
yeah,
uh, more than like perhaps a bit of the proggy
yeah,
influences. But it was just something about the way they like merged those elements, and also like guitar solos. Not a fan of guitar solos, but Martine's guitar solos just did something for me. So I was into them, and I was interested in, of course, Crack the Sky is the favorite, and the way that they worked with that album, and also Blood Incantations record, Absolute Elsewhere, which
yeah.
is this kind of, a lot of people already heard of course. It was one of the big albums. Was 2 years ago.
24,
Yeah, yeah,
23. Yeah,
yeah. And was one of my favorites from that year, actually. And I'm not really into death metal or at all. But I don't know, something just clicked about that album. I was completely hooked, and listened to it a lot. Probably the record I listened to the most during that year, and it was during the writing process. And same thing there, how they like merged those very different kinds of parts that
yeah.
go from very heavy to very atmospheric. So that was kind of actually an inspiration. And to me, I think mostly I'm more inspired by bands that don't sound like us, or close to us in style and genre. I usually find more inspiration in other kinds of bands, and you take some element of that you kind of like, and try to, oh, I wonder if we could do this in our way, within the frames of our way of making music and writing. So
By the way, I have to correct myself. There is actually one title on the new record where I felt like, okay, that could be taken from Mastodon. It's Meridian because, of course, they have that record, Blood Meridian. So that is something
ah,
that I immediately connected with it. Funny that you then mentioned Mastodon
yeah,
as some kind of maybe not influence when it comes on the songs themselves, but the shiftiness. And I
yeah.
totally see what you mean. There are a lot of moments on the record where you shift from one part to the other much quicker than you would have done 2 years, 4 years ago. Yeah, that is a very nice bit of information. By the way, we talked about that last time. Now it seems as if you are back in some kind of groove. You released a record in 2022. You released All Things Shining in 2024. Now you're releasing And the Dead Tree in 2026. Are you kind of back in the groove of like a 2 year, maybe 2.5 or 3 year rhythm?
Yeah, absolutely. Something just happened when with the release of Myriad.
Yeah.
We started to tour a lot more also, and I think that kind of uh, started to made us more inspired. And for me, I just feel like I kind of got into this constant creative flow that I didn't really have any problem at all to find new song ideas. And for all of these the latest 3 records, including the new one, a lot of the songs have been written several years or even albums before. For this new record, I think perhaps half of the songs, at least ideas, and some of them, like large parts of the songs, are written 1 or 2 albums ago. So I have this kind of bank with different ideas, and that just sitting there that I really like, but waiting for the right opportunity or right record to where you feel like, okay, this is what we want to release now, and these are songs that kind of fit together and could create a whole that makes sense. So
So
yeah.
did you lack the missing bit, so to speak, between those ideas? The missing links, so to speak, between some of the older stuff.
How
Or
do you
was
mean?
it the other way around? You wrote new stuff and all of a sudden you notice, okay, there is something in the back of the
Oh yeah,
archive.
yeah, sure, definitely. It was kind of like you remember an old song that you kind of discarded for some reason, and oh, this is actually a good song, and it could work with this song.
Yeah.
But there were also when before we wrote Myriad, uh, I had like a full album of ideas that or at least like skeletons or beginnings of songs that I brought to my brother Simon, who was the bass player then, and kind of said, I have these songs. It's kind of a new direction, but what do you guys think? And they were not really into it at the time. They thought the songs were good, but they thought it was kind of, you know, too big of a leap away from Oscillation that we just released. It was more pure post rock, and I think two of those songs are actually on the new record, and a couple of them ended up on the two previous records. So I had these songs that I really liked that I kind of sprinkle on albums as they come.
A little bit of magic sprinkle.
Sure.
We've already mentioned at the beginning that there are a lot of people involved on this record. I read somewhere the number of 10 people.
Yeah, I think it's.
Does that include all the band members, or are these 10 people from the outside that you brought in?
Yeah, it's like it's me and my brother, and then plus 10 additional.
So guide us through. Who did you need from the outside for what? Maybe not all of them, but
we have since 2022 we have two like permanent live members, Joachim and Jarl, who play with us. They're part of the live band and do that thing with us on every tour, and they haven't been riding with us, but I thought it would be nice to at least have them like on the record this time around. So Joachim, he put down some vocals, and Jarl, he played some electric guitars, some church organ, and piano also. So he ended up on most of the songs. So it's just nice to bring those guys in. They know things, and they're very talented in areas where I'm not. So and then there's just the rest of the like additional musicians came along just because that's how the songs were arranged. I didn't like have this intention of, okay, let's bring in a lot of people. But more, I wrote when we were writing the songs and I was working with the arrangements, I added like, oh, I had violins on this track and saxophone on this track and a little bit of keyboards. And then when we had like the full records, like, oh, now we got to find people who can actually play these instruments because we definitely cannot. And we use some people that we worked with before, like Christian Carlson from Cult of Luna and PG Lost. He put some keyboards on this record. There's not a lot of keyboards. There were a lot on All Things Shining, but a bit. And then we had two horn players that I've worked with before, a friend and a relative. But then we had to like hire some musicians also. So I kind of just went online and hunted down a couple of guys and asked if they could play some stuff on the album. So
I remember in our last talk, you also openly admitted and understandably admitted your love for Cult of Luna. And you've been working with Magnus now for a couple of records already. I think this is the third one.
Yeah.
How did he react when he heard this much heavier record. When he heard those things, how did he react to it?
He doesn't do a lot of a reaction.
Yeah,
He's a,
I know the Swedes.
he's more of a workhorse.
Yeah, but did he say something about it? Did he like, okay, guys, this is like
Uh,
heavier anyway?
no, not really.
Okay,
I guess I mean he must be. I mean he's been bombarded with new music all the time.
that's true.
So
That's
I
true.
think I guess for a guy like him, it's not like you spend that much time kind of thinking about how
Yeah,
you like it, or more like
yeah,
the you come towards it more like how can I make this sound good,
yeah,
which he can.
yeah. I mean, like,
So, yeah,
definitely, the guy got an amazing ear. But then
yeah,
let me ask you that differently. You worked with one of the guys from A Swarm of the Sun
yeah.
on this record, and I mean, like, nevertheless, Swarm of the Sun. We've also said that like 2 years ago. Um, an Empire, maybe one of the most defining new post-rock records of the 2020s. How did he react? Because All Things Shining was still, in a way, a lot closer to A Swarm of the Sun than this record is. You know, this
Oh
is
yeah, sure,
this is a record which is feisty. You know, you are not afraid of it ever crumbling.
sure,
Did you
sure.
get any reaction out of him?
I don't know how familiar he was with our music
Okay.
before, actually. I met him one time at Pelagic Fest, just said hello. And I heard from other people working with him that he's a good guy. And of course, he's like his discography of people he has worked with. And he's also, he's been drumming with a lot of really good stoner rock bands from Sweden before Swarm of the Sun. So, and he records and mixes and masters a lot of stoner rock and kind of like doomy stuff also and things in that kind of vein.
Well, interestingly, now that fits much
Oh,
better than 3, 4 years ago, right?
yeah, I think so. So we had these songs and we knew he was a good recording engineer and a nice guy. So yeah, why not?
Yeah. As I said, I think like 4 years ago, he would probably have thought, okay, they are similar to us, but now you're definitely a lot heavier than that. I have one more question before we come to the quick fire round, and
Oh,
that's I think that's a difficult one.
mm,
Um, and I'm thinking about how to phrase it.
yeah.
Would you feel uncomfortable if I said this record is much more shoegaze than post rock? Because and I think of shoegaze in the direction of My Bloody Valentine, like
Yeah, sure.
loud.
Yeah, sure.
Would you agree with that? There's a lot of shoegaze on
I
there.
would definitely not feel uncomfortable in any way.
Yeah.
I don't. I definitely don't feel any way to frame our music in any kind of way.
Hmm.
But I can definitely see what you mean. The songs are more songy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
More, not all of them, but there's a bit more of a traditional song structure to some of the songs and more of a directness. So perhaps in a way, yeah. But it's there's not like this massive amounts of reverb
Yeah.
or distortion on it.
Hmm.
But yeah, uh, it has a bit of both of those genres, of course. But I can see why you would say that. Yeah,
And also because the songs, in a way, are very compact. They are. I think there is no track over 7 minutes. There is also, I think, no track below 4 minutes. So they all tend to be somewhere between 240 and 600 seconds, something like that.
sure.
Um, of course, something that nobody sets out to do. But did you notice that? But they are very similar in length. and in compactness,
Yeah, I think
density.
I think for like the latest three records, we have kind of gravitated towards like the 5 minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that's happened. Then there's certain songs that go on a bit longer, usually because of the song structure
Mm-hmm.
of that song. Um, but I don't mind making longer songs or shorter songs. It's always just about what kind of feels right for that song. Not to like drag it out too long and keep
You're
it too
not
short.
Mogwai who turned it into a 24-minute beast.
No, no, no. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
At least that's not our goal.
Yeah.
Because I always thought of myself more like a songwriter than someone who just does experimental soundscapes or something. Uh,
Interesting idea.
there's definitely some atmosphere to it, and I think you can
Mm-hmm.
like approach. I mean, post rock from different directions. If we go back to our like earlier records, and even then, when we had more of an ambient sound, I still think we always had this very song-oriented approach. Like we want to write good songs. And think about is this like a good song? Still have that thought kind of in the back of my mind, I guess.
Could it also be that you write shorter songs because you have vocals on your songs and therefore you don't need to elaborate on certain structures, certain elements as much as other bands would have to? I think
Uh,
I asked a similar question 2 years ago, but I think there is still something to that.
yeah, perhaps because that's a part of the shift for us, of course. That before I always wrote the lyrical parts last. Like we had the songs, and then it was like, oh, perhaps I can add some vocals here or
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We usually didn't have like parts where you had the vocals like at the start, like you had some guitar chords and I sang something over it. But we have songs now that are written in that way where the vocals are like the prime melody or
Mm-hmm.
like the focus of certain parts. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's something to that.
Yeah, because I think that's also very, very noticeable. As I said, it's heavy, but it's at the same time also very warm, which I really, really
Um,
like because I think it's difficult for post rock bands to do that unless you go like full blown cinematic post rock with I don't know how many elements and layers and so
sure.
all of that. By the way, when you write songs, do you
Yeah.
also think about the question, okay, how can we bring that to the stage?
Yeah, always. I always write songs with like a four piece band in mind, and it's just because that what we used to be
Yeah,
like two guitars, bass, and drums, and it's also the instruments that I can handle more confidently. So all songs are like based like that, and if
mm-hmm.
there's other elements to it, I add it afterwards, and I always usually it's just to enforce certain melodies and lift them so we can and it's important for me to be able to play the songs live without them feeling too stripped down or anything. Then of course some songs we have to kind of rewrite certain parts where we have more like been stapling stuff upon each other or building layers of different instruments.
Mm-hmm.
But usually try to keep it like that, like two guitars, bass, drums, vocals, and if you bring in another instrument, can you bring out the guitar or do you still need it? Yeah, that's part of the inner conversation.
I have an idea how you can play all those saxophone elements on
Yeah,
something.
let me know.
Just do it like
Are you a
Gorilla
sax
Biscuit.
player?
No, Just do it like Gorilla Biscuits from New York. Because on 2 of their songs, they have trumpets. And in every city, they always ask fans, like, is there anybody who can play this?
Ah, yeah. That's a cool idea, actually. Yeah.
So, Jakob, first of all, thanks for the cool answers and the details of the new record. But you know it, there's always the quickfire round at the end. And I also listened to our first interview so that I don't come up with things that you've already said.
Sure.
So we will not talk about Mono, Mogwai, other bands. Let's start with something. Let's start with the tongue-in-cheek thing first. In the promo, there is one moment where it says something, and I think it's even a quote by you, with a little help from my friends. And of course, the nerd in me automatically hears Joe Cocker and Ringo Starr singing that Beatles track. So you have to choose which version of With a Little Help from My Friends do you prefer? Ringo Starr's original or Joe Cocker's cover version from Woodstock?
Oh, I don't know actually if I remember I wrote that and I kind of saw it afterwards. Is that like too? But I just left it like it was.
Yeah, and then I come along.
I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if I'm familiar enough with those 2 versions actually.
I think if you know one version, then it's probably the Joe Cocker version.
Yeah, then it's probably that one because it's the one I know. Yeah,
it's the one that is definitely, it's one of those cover versions which became more popular and more prominent than the original. I'm very sure of that one. And in our last interview, you mentioned your love for Godspeed You Black Emperor. So I'll give you 2 Godspeed Your Black Emperor records, but I will not give you Lift Your Fists like blah, 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 blah. I will give you Slow Riot for New Zero Canada versus Yankee UXO. The one before and the one after Lift Your Fists.
Yeah, Slow Riot, I think.
Okay.
I haven't really gotten into the first one, actually. So.
Okay. And then something that and if I say that about a band, that it's one of the hugest and biggest compliments I can make because I love God is an Astronaut. There was something in the new songs that reminded me a lot about the Kinsella brothers from Ireland. So I'll give you 2 of their records. All is Violent, All is Bright versus my personal favorite, Epitaph.
I guess All is Violet because it was one of those records that kind of brought me into post-rock in the beginning. So for nostalgic reasons, I'll say that one.
Then, of course,
but Epitaph has a cool sound.
Yeah, but that's what I loved about it. It was so huge when it came out. I had already known them, of course, but that really was a game changer for me. Of course, I have to give you some Scandinavian post-rock bands, right? So I'll give you Baulta from Finland versus Spurf, and I think it's from Norway, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're from Norway. Yeah, sure.
And it's a shame that I don't remember because we even did an interview with them. So, but which one would you choose, Baulta or Spurf?
I'm not really. I haven't heard. Don't know if I've heard that much from Baulta actually, so I can't really say anything about them. But Spurf, of course, is a very cool band. We played with them like it was like 2014 at this Norwegian festival. It was our first show abroad. And they had like a amazing live show. Yeah, they have some really cool stuff going. Very talented. So I'll go with Spur.
Then, of course, I have to give you 2 The Ocean records because I didn't do that last time. So I'll give you Heliocentric versus Holocene.
I'll go with Holocene, I guess. I'm more familiar with it. So, yeah.
And then some people might have already understood my thinking. I took a lot of things from the little Pelagic Fest flyer. So I'll give you 2 bands that also are on that list, just like you are. I'll give you Lost in Kiev, and you have to choose between Rupture or Persona.
I can't really.
Rupture is the younger one, and Persona is the one with the robot-like image on the cover.
I don't know if I've listened to those two records.
Okay, don't worry.
Probably
and we spoke about.
I can't say it. I can't say.
Yeah, don't worry. Then we spoke about instrumental post-metal a bit, so I'll give you two of the giants, underestimated giants in that genre, I think. Russian Circles versus Jakob. New Zealand versus Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah, this is a tough one. Now you're getting into my territory here. I'll go with Jakob. That's my favorite. Yeah, I love that band.
I heard rumors that we get some music.
Yeah,
in their case, probably later than sooner.
For a long time, there have been rumors, but
yeah.
Well, we'll see.
New Zealand is just too far away. I cannot kick the guys in the ass so that they finally do something. But I would love to hear some new Jakob.
Please do if you get the chance.
Yeah, if I ever do. Two post-metal bands, and I don't even know where one of them comes from, I have to admit. But two bands that are very often mentioned when it comes to the great post-rock bands that are a little underappreciated. Caspian versus Meniscus.
Meniscus, I don't know if I even heard that band before.
See?
But, yeah.
So then it would be Caspian.
I've probably seen their name, but I can't be able to remember songs. So, of course, I'll go with Caspian.
Good. If we talked, or as we talked about shoegaze, I'll give you the age-old question: My Bloody Valentine or Slowdive? Which one do you like more?
My Bloody Valentine. It's hands down for me, actually. I know a lot of people choose Slowdive.
I actually would have thought that you would have said Slowdive because I think there are more similarities in sound.
Every time I hear someone say that, to me it sounds like posing. Like, oh, you can't say My Bloody Valentine because that's like the big poster name for.
No.
To me, they're still the champions, and to me, the more unique. I think more unique.
I totally get that. I only thought because I thought in the way that I think the sound on And the Dead Tree.
Yeah.
I think there are more similarities to Slowdive than to My Bloody Valentine. But of course, you are true. Like they are. I mean, like there is no louder band than Slowdive. Maybe Swans. But even Sun doesn't get anywhere close to My Bloody Valentine when they just crank it to not 11 but 13. Oh my God. So and then you also spoke about a certain love for proggish bands. So we'll start easy. You've mentioned Absolute Elsewhere by Blood Incantation, which basically has two parts. It has the death metal parts and it has the ambient krautrocky parts.
Sure.
Which ones would you rather listen to after this interview? So not in general, but right now.
Like the death metal parts or
the death metal or the krautrocky stuff.
I think because of what time it is, I would go for the ambient crowd stuff. You know, death metal's more for the mornings.
That's a good one. Yeah, definitely. For transparency, so everybody understands that as we are both teachers, we first have to get some stuff off our chest. We still have families. So we recorded this. We started at 9 p.m. in the evening. So that is dedication, definitely from Jakob's side. And the last one, and I'm not even sure whether you could answer it. I have changed my answer on that one recently. I'll give you two of the 70s prog rock giants.
Okay.
I'll give you Magma versus Genesis. And I have to precise, Genesis with Phil Collins stuck behind the drum set, duct taped, and Peter Gabriel singing. So Collins shut up and only like.
I'm not really a big fan of any of those two bands, actually.
Okay.
Can't you give me like King Crimson versus Pink Floyd? And I can say King Crimson.
That would be too easy. Then let's say Yes versus Pink Floyd.
Yeah, Pink Floyd, definitely. I'm not like a huge Pink Floyd band. I actually don't. I'm not that fond of David Gilmour. Actually, his like guitar playing in general. The things I like about Pink Floyd are more like the melodic elements or the song structures and some of the like sounds. So, but yeah, not into Yes.
Would King Crimson be, or is King Crimson your favorite rock band?
Yeah, I guess so. There's a lot of like prog rock and definitely prog metal stuff that I'm not that fond of actually, but those few that really manage, because it's a difficult genre, of course.
Yeah,
you can get ridiculous with it. That's like
especially if you show off too much.
Yeah, and you can bring as elements that make it, yeah, you can't like take it seriously anymore, and you get like too shreddy or stuff like that. But from like the classic prog bands, I would definitely say King Crimson, like the first record and Red are the
classics. So
yeah, of course, but they're the best ones.
To explain it, I still love Genesis more than Magma, but when it comes to influence, I have to admit, and I wouldn't have admitted that 12 months ago, but I have to admit that I think, in a way, especially when it comes to the underground, I think Magma was more influential. I know at least one New York hardcore band who would now kick my ass for saying that, because they are so much in love with Genesis.
What was that?
Gospel. Prog hardcore. Something like,
Gospel.
Imagine the Mars Volta not going for crowd rock, but for prog rock.
Okay.
Then you would get gospel.
Never heard of.
Yeah, don't worry. but if you want to dive into a very strange band, then you take gospel, and you will be rewarded with a lot of eye-opening moments, I would say. So, Jakob, I don't want to keep you any further. It's already 10 p.m. Thanks for the insight. I hope to see you on tour as soon as possible, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Your chance for final last words.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to chat and share some nerdness for me.
Yeah, man, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah.
Jakob, thanks for the new record.
Yeah. Hope people like it.
I'm very sure they do.
That's
they should. They should. So, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Torsten. See you.
Bye.